Imagine walking into one of the most exclusive restaurants in Beverly Hills, the renowned Lumiere. This is where millionaires dine without glancing at the prices, where the walls shimmer with understated gold and the impeccably set tables are booked months in advance. Now picture yourself arriving there in worn-out jeans and a plain t-shirt, no flashy jewelry, no luxury watch. Before you even cross the threshold, you feel the stares, judgmental, appraising, their intensity unmistakable. For most, it would be uncomfortable. But what if you were Keanu Reeves, one of Hollywood's most respected stars, and no one recognized you? This was the backdrop where Ashley, a waitress at Lumiere, stood out. Young, ambitious and proud, Ashley's every move reflected a deep concern for appearances. The shine of a suit, the cut of a hairstyle, the accessories worn by patrons. These were her markers of who deserved her best service and who didn't. At Lumiere, Ashley embodied the restaurant's ethos, luxurious, exclusive, and unforgiving to those who didn't fit in. But on this particular day, Ashley was about to learn a lesson she would never forget. It was a bustling afternoon at Lumiere, the kind where every table was occupied, and the air was thick with the aroma of exquisitely prepared dishes. Ashley moved gracefully between tables, exuding an air of superiority. That's when he walked in. Keanu Reeves entered with the calm demeanor that has become his hallmark. Clad in a simple black t-shirt, worn jeans and comfortable shoes, his slightly messy hair and unshaven beard made him look like an average guy you'd pass on the street. To Ashley, he wasn't a global superstar, just another customer who clearly didn't meet her high standards of luxury. Ashley frowned briefly, but quickly replaced it with a professional smile as she approached. "Good evening, sir. Do you have a reservation?" she asked, her tone bordering on impatience, as if she already knew the answer. Keanu replied calmly, his smile understated. "Actually, no. I was hoping there might still be a table available." He glanced around, seemingly unaware that his casual attire clashed starkly with the opulent surroundings. Internally, Ashley sighed. "This man has no idea where he is," she thought. "Let me see what I can do," she said, leading him effortlessly to a small table tucked away in a discreet corner near the kitchen, the spot she reserved for guests who, in her judgment, didn't deserve the limelight. "This table will be perfect for you, sir," she said, placing the menu before him. Then, almost as an afterthought, she added with a hint of sarcasm, "Oh, and just so you're aware, the prices are listed next to each dish. No surprises that way." Keanu, unfazed, opened the menu and began browsing with an air of quiet ease, ignoring Ashley's veiled remark. Around him, other diners cast discreet glances, perhaps wondering who this relaxed yet out-of-place man might be. Little did Ashley know, this unusual customer was about to turn her world upside down. Ashley returned to Keanu's table, notepad in hand, her expression tinged with disdain. He remained calm, flipping through the menu as if he were in a casual diner. To her, his lack of discomfort in such an elite setting was almost infuriating. "Have you decided what you'd like to order?" she asked curtly, eager to cut the interaction short. Keanu looked up, offering a faint smile. "Yes, I'll have the filet mignon with truffle sauce, and I'd like a glass of red wine to go with it. What do you recommend?" Ashley almost laughed aloud. The filet mignon with truffle sauce was one of the priciest items on the menu, and yet this plainly dressed man didn't even blink while ordering. "Well," she replied with a condescending tone, "our sommelier usually recommends the Chateau Margaux, an exceptional wine, though quite expensive." The emphasis on the last word sounded almost like a warning. Keanu remained composed, his calm eyes betraying no reaction. "The Chateau Margaux seems like an excellent choice. I'll trust your recommendation." His unexpected response left her momentarily disarmed, but she quickly dismissed it. He's probably trying to impress someone, she thought. Or maybe he doesn't even know what he's ordering. "And all right," she replied, forcing a smile while jotting down the order. "But just to be sure, I'll bring the wine menu back so you can confirm the price." Once again, she subtly undermined him, hoping he'd reconsider. But Keanu simply nodded, unfazed by her sarcastic tone. It was as though he was immune to provocation, which only began to frustrate her. In the back room, Ashley whispered to another waitress, her tone dripping with mockery. "Bet he'll regret it when he sees the check," she said with a smug grin. Meanwhile, other diners started noticing her behavior. A couple at the next table murmured to each other, visibly uncomfortable. "That's no way to treat anyone," the woman whispered. Across the room, an older gentleman in a sharp blue suit quietly observed the scene. His expression was a mix of disapproval and curiosity, though he said nothing. The evening progressed, with Ashley continuing her passive-aggressive treatment. When she served Keanu his entree, she placed the silverware with a deliberate clatter. "Here's your filet. I hope it lives up to your expectations," she said, her tone sharp and challenging. Keanu simply thanked her and began eating as serene as ever. Later, when he ordered dessert, a chocolate cake with cherry liqueur filling, Ashley couldn't resist another jab. "Are you sure you want to add that? Maybe it's better to save for the wine you already ordered," she said, her voice oozing sarcasm. To her annoyance, Keanu only chuckled. "Yes, I'm sure. Sometimes dessert is the best part of the meal," he replied with an easy smile. His calm demeanor was unnerving. No matter how much she tried to undermine him, he never reacted with anger or discomfort. It was as if her efforts to belittle him didn't even register. Other patrons began watching the interaction as though it were a live performance. Quiet whispers rippled through the room as Ashley continued her provocations. But something unexpected was brewing, a shift in the atmosphere that she could never have anticipated. The older man in the blue suit rose from his seat, walked over to the restaurant manager and whispered something discreetly. Moments later, the manager, his eyes wide with recognition, hurried toward Keanu's table. What happened next would turn the night into an unforgettable lesson. Ashley returned to Keanu's table with the bill, a smug smile creeping across her face. Finally, the moment she believed would expose that he didn't belong here. Before she could reach him, the manager Richard, a tall and sharply dressed man, crossed the room with purpose. "Ashley, can you step into the kitchen for a moment? I'll take care of this table from here," he said firmly but calmly. Confused, Ashley handed the bill to Richard and backed away. The manager approached Keanu, bowed slightly as a gesture of respect, and spoke with enthusiasm. "Mr. Reeves, what an honor to have you here tonight. Why didn't you let us know you'd be coming? We would have prepared something special for your visit." The room fell silent. Every diner froze, processing the words. From a distance, Ashley watched, her heart racing. "Mr. Reeves?" she muttered, stunned. It couldn't be. Was that humble man really Keanu Reeves? Keanu, as always, remained calm, offering Richard a gentle smile. "Thank you, but it's not necessary. I prefer simplicity. I just wanted to enjoy a good meal." Richard, visibly flustered, glanced around, seemingly trying to compensate for the lack of attention Keanu had received. "Please, if there's anything you need, we're at your service. This meal is, of course, on the house." Keanu raised his hand politely. "That's not necessary. I insist on paying." I simply want everyone here to be treated the same way as me. No one should have to declare who they are to be respected, he said with a calm but firm voice, his words echoing across the room and making everyone pause to reflect. Ashley felt her face heat as the weight of the situation hit her. Her actions, the comments, the judgmental looks, they all came back like a heavy burden. She stammered, trying to step forward. I didn't know, sir. But Richard cut her off, his expression unusually stern. This behavior is unacceptable, Ashley. Discrimination of any kind is not tolerated here. His tone made it clear the matter would not be brushed aside. Keanu, however, stood up and turned to Ashley, his gaze steady, not angry, but filled with quiet disappointment, something far more piercing. We all make mistakes, he said evenly, but what matters is learning from them. It's not about who someone is or what they can afford. It's about how we choose to treat others. The entire restaurant seemed to hold its breath. Guests who were previously unaware now watched in awe, captivated by Keanu's demeanor. He took out his wallet, left the payment on the table, and thanked them kindly. It's been an excellent meal. Have a good night, everyone. As he walked toward the exit, the room remained hushed, his words lingering like a lesson no one would soon forget. After Keanu's departure, the once exclusive and luxurious Lumiere restaurant felt transformed. Conversations among patrons grew reflective, and some staff exchanged uneasy glances. Ashley, weighed down by every glance and whisper, felt the judgment pressing on her. At the end of the shift, Richard gathered the staff for a meeting in the main dining area. Ashley sat in silence, unable to meet anyone's eyes, her shame and regret burning within her. Richard addressed the team with a serious tone. Tonight, we had the privilege of serving one of the most respected individuals in the world. But more than that, we were given an opportunity to learn a lesson we must never forget. As if on cue, Keanu, who had been quietly waiting in the background, stepped into the room with the same composed grace he had shown earlier. All eyes turned to him, some in disbelief, others in admiration. He stood before the team, his demeanor calm, and began to speak. "I'm not here to accuse anyone," he said softly, his voice carrying a quiet intensity that held everyone's attention. "I'm here to talk about something I see all too often: snap judgments. It's something we all do, sometimes without realizing it, but that doesn't make it right." Ashley's eyes welled up with tears. She didn't know how to face him, yet she couldn't look away. Keanu continued, "What we've learned today is that appearances can be deceiving. Every person you serve here or encounter on the street carries a story, struggles, triumphs, fears. None of that is visible at first glance. That's why respect and empathy must always come before judgment." He paused, looking directly at Ashley, not with anger, but with compassion. "I know we all make mistakes. What matters most is how we choose to respond to them. Learning and growing takes courage, but that's what makes us truly human." Ashley, her voice trembling, finally summoned the courage to speak, tears streaming down her face. "I'm truly sorry. I was so caught up in trying to impress, in upholding the image of this restaurant, that I forgot what truly matters. There's no excuse for my behavior." Keanu offered a kind smile. "Acknowledging your mistake is the first step. Real change comes from within, and I believe you can do better." His words carried a tone of genuine hope, as if he truly wanted Ashley to grow from this experience. Inspired by Keanu's attitude, Richard addressed the team. "Starting today, I want this restaurant to be remembered not just for its food and atmosphere, but for how we treat everyone who walks through those doors. Let's make sure every person feels welcomed, no exceptions." Ashley wiped her tears, a mix of shame and gratitude washing over her. She knew that night would change her life forever. For the first time, she didn't feel defensive or prideful. She felt ready to change. Keanu left them with one final thought. Kindness costs nothing, but to the person receiving it, it can mean everything. Think about that. As he walked out of the restaurant, his words lingered, leaving the team deep in reflection. A sense of change hung in the air. The following morning, as the Beverly Hills sun bathed the streets, the Lumiere felt transformed, not in its luxurious decor, but in the attitude of its staff. The night before had planted a seed, not of shame, but of transformation. Unintentionally, Keanu Reeves became the talk of the town. Customers shared their experiences on social media, describing him as a symbol of humility in a world obsessed with status. To many, his message was as powerful as his performances on the big screen. In the restaurant's meeting room, Ashley, still introspective, found the courage to send an apology to the manager and her team. She knew she couldn't undo the past, but she could strive to be better moving forward. As she typed, she recalled Keanu's words, "Real change comes from within." For the first time, she felt a genuine desire to change, not just to make amends, but to become a more compassionate person. Days later, Keanu shared a subtle post on his social media. He didn't name the restaurant or mention Ashley, but his message resonated. In a world full of judgment, remember, kindness is our most powerful tool. Choose kindness, even when no one's watching. True strength lies in acceptance. The post went viral. People around the world shared their own stories of being unfairly judged or of how a small act of kindness had changed their day. Keanu's message transcended the restaurant incident, becoming a global reminder of the power of empathy. Back at Lumiere, the team felt closer than ever. The manager introduced a training program focused on compassionate service, and Ashley was the first to volunteer. She began to see each customer differently, not as an extension of their attire or wealth, but as real people with stories and emotions. One evening, while serving a table, Ashley noticed a customer sitting alone, dressed simply and wearing a calm expression. Instead of reacting as she might have before, she approached with a genuine smile. "Welcome to Lumiere. Can I help you choose something?" There was no sarcasm, no judgment, just respect. Keanu's lesson had been learned. The script he delivered that night at Lumiere left an impact far greater than he could have imagined. And for us, hearing this story, it leaves one final question. How often do we judge others before truly knowing them? And more importantly, what are we willing to do to change that? Maybe today is the perfect day to choose kindness.